Eliza!
Who is it?
It's me, Eliza, just me.
What?
A better response would be, oh, do come in, Aunt March.
Sorry, come in, please.
Eliza, this is the third day in a row now.
I know. I'm sorry.
So he's not going to cut it this time. Look at all this. This is no way to treat a lady's room.
I'm sorry. I just haven't got round to cleaning it yet.
Don't you lie to me, Eliza Cook. You think I don't know a fib? When I hear one, I was graced with a boy, the world's best natural-born liar.
I'm sorry. I just haven't got round to doing it yet.
You've had plenty of time to do it. Holed up here, rarely going outside, only to eat or go to the loo. You have us worried sick. You need a routine.
I had a routine in London.
You're not in London anymore. You need a new one. Now let's start by getting these bloody windows open.
Oh, some warning, please.
My house, my rules. A bit of fresh air will do you some good. Better than that polluted air back in Central. Now, here's your suitcase. Let's unpack you.
All right. I don't need any help to unpack. I'll do it myself.
Well, go on then.
I also don't need to be watched over while doing it.
Well, how can I be sure it'll get done if I don't?
Bit of trust goes a long way.
Oh, well, I trust you, all right. Trust you to conveniently forget. Can't fool me, Eliza, graced with a boy, remember?
Look, I promise I'll get it done. Besides, I wanted to go down to the beach later today
Why?
because I wanted to go for a walk along the beach.
All right. I quite fancy a walk myself. Mind if I come along?
I don't really.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should clarify. You don't actually have a choice in the matter. But I'll sweeten the deal. Have you ever had a chip butty?
A what?
Don't look so disgusted. Butty, as in butter. It's a chip sandwich.
The description of it doesn't make it seem any less mad.
Well, that's some rich talk coming from him. Come on, we're going now.
All right. But at least let me pick my own outfit. Don't just go through my things like that. Besides, I brought something with the beach in mind.
Very well. I'll meet you out front.
All right. Thank you, Auntie.
Does this not just clear your head?
Well, it gives me a chill, that's for sure.
Well, that's what you get for not wrapping up warm.
In my head, I picture the seaside to be a bit more.
Blue skies and bluer beach huts. Try Bournemouth.
Whereabouts is that?
You're kidding, right? Has our May never taken you on holiday?
Not to the seaside, no. Which sucks, because Dad and I have always wanted to go down to one.
No kidding, right? Lousy childhood, that.
It wasn't all bad. Dad and Mum used to compromise. So we'd go caravan camping down to Jack's Lake in the summer. Have you ever been?
I can't remember the last time I saw your mum, let alone some random lake.
It's not some random lake. It's beautiful. Just up in Barnet on the other side of the city. The day would always start with us waking up at the crack of dawn. Then we'd pack a picnic and we'd hitch it to the back of Dad's caravan and we'd be off. Arrived just before midday. Mum and I would set up the fishing things. No, Dad would set up the fishing things and Mum and I would set up the picnic things. He was always so determined to catch his supper for the evening. Mum would always pack a barbecue and some sliders. Couldn't stand fish, even on a good day. Plus, just in case the fish decided not to bite, which happened more often than not. But Dad always remained so chipper about it. If not today, tomorrow, he'd always say. And then the same thing would happen the next day. Honestly. It used to drive Mum nuts, especially if it ate into too much of the holiday. I remember one time, he didn't catch anything substantial until the last day. Mum didn't speak for him for supper, or most of the journey home. I didn't mind though. The fish always tasted great.
And speaking of something tasting great, go on, get that down you.
If I clog an artery, I'm blaming you.
Oh, hush up, never did me any harm.
Yet to be seen, I'm sure.
Good, right?
Yeah, really good. Mum always says the best things are usually the things that are bad for you.
Well, it's talk like that that led to us never really seeing much of each other.
What do you mean?
Your mum hasn't spoken about as much, has she?
Besides about her being nervous about me coming down here. No. But I thought that was just about them sending me away in general.
Well, that's probably part of it.
Water, right?
What about it?
She never really liked it much. Even on a good day. Even the lake was a push for her. Dad and I never understood it. We always thought that she was caught up in all the bad things that could happen. All that negative energy. Drowning. Sharks. Riptides that could pull you out to sea. Nasty. 1 in a million. Stuff like that.
She's still a stickler for all that then? Nothing's changed? Have you taken after her?
I don't really want to. It's too scary a world to imagine it being real.
I was so envious of it. There's so much fantasy there. Negative energy, positive energy, good and evil, monsters and heroes, that weird, chaotic mess in between. An exciting perspective. But it isn't real. And those beliefs of hers stopped her coming down here. Stopped her from seeing me. Made it so we never got to meet and all. Crying shame that. I can imagine you a quarter this size. Would have been nice to see a little babe round here. A little pale London bum out for the world to see. But no. You're near enough. A woman grown. I ended up missing quite a bit. Sorry. My bitterness is showing.
I'm sorry.
And what for? As if a babe has any control over what a mum does or doesn't do. But if you did want to make it up to me,
Unpack when we get back.
if you could. Sorry to be sappy, but it'll put my mind at ease that you are here for a while longer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I'm sure things will get better back home sooner rather than later.
It's all right. I understand. I'm not mad at you. Well, I don't want to have to be here any longer than I need to be. That isn't because of you, Aunt Marge. If anything, I'll try my hardest to convince Mum to come down here when I get back.
Now there's a thought. Good luck to you.
Better yet, why don't you pop down yourself? I'll even treat you to some authentic English cuisine. How about a traditional roast dinner?
Eliza, we have roast dinners down here. I bought half a chicken for the weekend.
Ah, right.
You're a funny girl. And even if you don't believe all that stuff your man does, I promised myself I'd give you this anyway.
A hagstone.
Of course you'd know what it is. Your man used to go looking in gardens and fields for brownies and pixies with it, peering through it like it was some telescope. Do you do that too?
I don't believe in such things. And I doubt fairies and the like would be hanging around a garden balcony, choking to death on smoke.
Well, that's why she'd parade it around here. She talked about this place being all ancient and primal. That I'll give her. Redwater is an old place with its fair share of mysteries. Mysteries which she should have just left alone.
What do you mean?
Redwater is why your man hates water, dear, on account of the red algae.
The red what?
Here, let me show you.
The water, it's
Red. Yes.
I was going to say beautiful.
It's how the town got its name. It's also why, even in summer, it isn't exactly the holiday destination for most. No one wants to go swimming in a blood-red sea.
That first night, I thought that it was just a trick of the light.
I thought you were about to fall in.
Would it be so bad if I did?
Well, it's dreadfully cold, dear. You would have caught something foul for sure. Eliza, get away from there.
What happened to my mum? Aunt Marge?
It's nothing. Best not talk about it if you ask me.
Why?
Nasty business is all. Can we drop it, please?
What's so nasty about it?
I said, I don't want to talk about it. Get away from there! I'm sorry. We should go home now. You owe me a cleaner room, after all.
Did you talk to her?
Of course I did.
And?
The same thing she told me an hour ago. Why won't she tell us what's wrong?
Just give it time, Mum.
Is she not family? Who needs more time to trust their own family?
You did meet her a week ago.
Doesn't matter. Blood is blood.
Blood or not, she's a Londoner. Slow to trust and all that.
What if this is some cry for help? A desire to have her sent back, maybe. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have taken her down to that raid watch the other night.
You were doing what you thought was best.
I thought it would bring us closer, too. But now she's,
What in privacy?
We can't help her if we don't know what's wrong.
So sit and wait with me.
I suppose you're right. I suppose we just need to focus on what we do know.
What's that then?
That there's a young girl frightened to death that needs our support. And if that is to let her be or be by her side, we must support that choice. And another thing I know for certain is that door frame needs dusting and I can't reach it.
Are you trying to convince me or yourself?
A bit of both.
You don't have to tell me. I don't really see why I'm needed for this.
You're her cousin, Lawrence.
A second cousin, and I've also just met her.
Doesn't matter, blood is blood, Lawrence.
Well, apart from all of this, how was your weekend? Relaxing?
I'd hardly call blitz watching from the Hemingway Lighthouse a relaxing evening.
Suppose not. Regardless?
Disturbingly beautiful, as always. They hit Liverpool. Clearest we've ever seen them, like fireflies blinking off and on. It's easy to disassociate the light with what it actually means.
I really don't know how you can watch something like that. I mean, knowing that if it were London, any one of them could hit and cook.
If she is going to die there, I reckon her soul will appreciate being watched as it leaves. It's our duty. Everyone else in those cities and towns are hiding away, hoping it isn't them. They could never know the loss until the morning, but we see when it happens and as it happens, and if I pray throughout, then surely that'll help carry them up for sure. I don't expect any of those there to pray for anything but their own lives, and that's understandable. So I'll pray twice as hard for them too. Now, let's change the subject, please, if you don't mind. Did you call Nathaniel?
Yes.
And?
He said he'd be over right away.
Thank you, dear. What do you suppose she wants him for anyway?
I don't know. He's somewhat clever. He is a doctor. Maybe she doesn't even know what's going on with herself. I wouldn't be surprised. She is just a child.
A child? All alone in there, dealing with the Lord knows what.
Worrying is only going to stress her out more.
You're beginning to sound like Nathaniel yourself.
Jesus, shoot me where I sit then.
What do you suppose is wrong with her?
I'm hardly fit to speculate.
Even if you're not fit to, you still can.
Nor do I want to.
You're a cheeky bugger. Well, if I had to guess, I'd say she's homesick.
Sounds terminal.
Oh, hush up. Can you imagine being in her shoes, forced to come to a strange town with stranger people?
That's strange.
Not to mention leaving her man behind.
So she's nervous and wants to go home.
Well, that's a bit of an undersell, but yes.
So there's nothing actually wrong with her then?
Lawrence,
Well, it is a bit ridiculous, don't you think?
you're a nasty piece of work. You know that. And what do you know? You've never had to deal with anything like this, have you? You were too young, but I understand. When your father left for the First War, I felt like a piece of home had been taken away. And for those years, I never felt comfortable anywhere. This is different, of course. A piece of home hasn't been taken away. Rather, she's been taken away from home. But I'm sure she'll be as right as rain once we make this place more homey again. She just needs time to come to terms with all of this, really.
Okay, but you did just say so yourself. Home never felt the same again. So at what point did it start to feel homely, considering Dad never came back? Sorry, I should have dropped it.
It's all right.
Going back to Eliza, I do hope it's not just nerves. We shouldn't waste a doctor's time like that.
Oh, come now, you know he isn't exactly busy these days. And besides, once he's here, he can brush all this unpleasantness under the rug. Speaking of which, this rug is a state. Grab the broom, tracking all this sand in here, Lawrence, that's all you're good for.
Mother, must you clean for him?
No, but I want to. It helps me stay calm in times like these.
But what are you so worried about?
This could very well be my fault, Lawrence. Maybe I pushed her too hard. Maybe she needed a few more days to unpack. And God, I should never have taken her down to that damn red algae. You know, she almost fell.
What?
On that first night.
When?
At the Blitz Watch. And then a few days later, I took her down to the beach and gave her that damn stone her mam used to have. I mean, what was I thinking? Made her think of home, and now she's in this right state.
Nathaniel's here, but I'll put the kettle on, okay?
Okay, sure, sweetie. I'll see you into a lamp. Oh.
Good evening, Marge. How's your night been?
Oh, it's good to see you, Nathaniel. It's been eventful, to say the least.
So you said. And where's the girl now?
She's in her room. She's refusing to come out. She won't speak to us. We're worried sick.
Odd behavior.
My thoughts, exactly. I've been telling Lawrence all evening that we need an intervention of some kind. Shall the two of us go in, or shall I go and get her? You sit down and I'll sort this
Hold
out.
on. It's best if I check up on her, though.
My theory is she's homesick.
Is that a fact?
Well, seems likely, don't you think?
We'll not see her. Which I reckon I ought to do now.
Shall I come in with you?
Did Lawrence not say she only wished to see me over the phone?
Yes, but...
Then I reckon you ought to respect her request.
Well, shall we just not wait for Lawrence? He's out the back making tea.
No bother at all. Hopefully I should wrap this up just in time for refreshments. Why don't you go check up on how that tea is doing, right? 2 sets of hands work faster than one. Besides, no, Lawrence, he's probably stuck on how many sugars I take. It's 6, by the way. You tell him what you Listening in, were you? Naughty girl.
Oh, no. You just have a very distinct walk, sir.
I was only teasing. Lawrence and your aunt are just making tea. They shouldn't bother us.
Oh, they shouldn't have gone and done all of that. I'm not sure I even have an appetite for such a thing.
I'm sure you will when it's in front of you.
I shall endeavour to drink it, of course.
Yes. To endeavor is to be polite. There is no finer character trait in my opinion. But of course, a reminder of social etiquette isn't why you called me here over.
No, it isn't.
Well, you've had me hobble my way over here. Let's get down to business.
I don't know where to begin, sir.
From the beginning, preferably.
The beginning is quite unbelievable,
Try me.
actually. Now that I think about it, I reckon that this was a mistake. I shouldn't have called you out.
Wasting an old man's time isn't a kind thing to do, Eliza.
I wouldn't dream of wasting your time, sir.
Then talk to me.
Right,
What's wrong?
something isn't right. I don't know what. See? It's like there's this violent ball of barbed wire tensing and wringing itself to my insides until it's slowly trapped and strangled every one of my organs inside my body. It wants to get out. And I want it to. I want to get it ripped out of me. No matter how painful. I don't care if I don't survive. Anything must be better than this.
What you speak is perfectly natural for someone in your shoes, Eliza. Panic and nerves. You speak true of a symptom. Something that can fill the head with less than ideal thoughts.
I know what nerves are, sir. and I felt them on the few days before the train ride down here. They hammered away at me in the carriage, and when Aunt Marge came to get me from the station, I felt like I could give in to them, and I felt like I could cry. This isn't me being berated and chipped away at. I'm more than I was yesterday.
Have you had anyone over?
What? No, I don't. There was someone. Last night, there was someone at my window. While I was sleeping, I knew that they were there. There's no way that I couldn't know that they were there. You know that feeling you get when you're in the bathwater and you're washing your hair and you sense that someone or something might be there when you open them. Well, I kept my eyes closed until that feeling went away. But it didn't. It just waited patiently for me. And then there was a knock at the window.
The window?
Yes. And when I got up, I went to draw back the curtains. And there was the ocean. The red tide had come all the way up to the window. It was so close, I could almost reach out and touch it.
And you did this?
I did. As I touched it, the red changed as my finger broke the surface. Black and white spreading out of my hand like oil on water, until the whole ocean was this colour. It wasn't until that change. That's when I noticed something.
What did you see, Liza?
Someone beneath the water.
I see. And then what happened?
I think that it wanted something from me. I think it got what it wanted. I don't know what to do.
What did you think you wanted, Liza?
To give me something? A gift.
I see. What did he look like?
Oh, I'm not even sure if it was a he.
Dark, was it?
It was, but
And you can't recall anything else?
I just can't describe it.
Did you get a sense of his dimensions?
They're what? I don't really.
Their body dimensions, I mean, their physique, general shape?
I don't know. They were under the water for the most part.
My dear, based on your description of events and lack of evidence, I can't help but feel that this simply hasn't happened. You can't describe this person. You don't remember what they felt like, what they even sounded like. Furthermore, yes, whilst this house is close to the coast, the tide has not come up this far. It never has, in all my years of living here. My current diagnosis is that this was just a bad dream and nothing more.
You speak as if I don't know the difference between reality and a bad dream.
I speak from experience. To clarify, I have no doubt in my mind that you saw what you saw. But it be a dream or reality is a mystery. If it is reality, then whoever it was brought the ocean right up to your window for this late night rendezvous. Think about that for a second. If it is a nightmare, however, then that would explain the impossibilities as to how they got here in the first place or why you can't recall their face. Only one thing can give me the answer I need.
And that is?
Eliza, I ought to check you for evidence.
I don't think that's appropriate.
There's nothing more appropriate. You called me over here, did you not? I am a doctor. My expertise lies in the body more than the mind. The best way for me to diagnose you is to find out what's wrong with your health, no?
I suppose so.
Then come in. No bruises, but your hand is as pink as salmon. Is that your doing?
No, that's new to me as well.
None on your legs, at least. Does it itch?
Yes, terribly so.
And when was the last time you bled?
It was 3 weeks ago.
Likely unrelated then.
So what are you going to do now?
I'm going to have some tea. And I suggest you freshen up and do the same before going to bed.
But what's wrong with me?
Nothing. You're stressed from a bad dream, and you've broken out in some hives. I've seen no evidence of a physical assault. At worst, perhaps the sea air isn't agreeable to you yet. Acclimatizing to it ought to be the solution. I suggest you keep that window open.
Oh, but that's where the ocean...
Eliza! Look, I am a patient and reasonable man. Others not so much. You need to be careful about what you say, especially around here, my dear. Redwater is a superstitious town, filled with equally superstitious minds. Just last week, Arnold Hemingway claims he pulled a Jerry aboard his boat from the sea. Consider what this sort of talk could do to your reputation. The rumors that could circulate. It could incite a panic. People might draw their own conclusions thanks to the paranoia of war. Worst yet, they might not believe you and think you're mad. I don't think I need to go into detail about what that would mean for you. You don't want that, do you?
No.
Good. Then perhaps we keep this between your aunt, cousin, and ourselves.
You're not going to tell them, are you?
Does that worry you?
As you said, they might think me mad.
They certainly will if you don't tell them it was hallucinations caused by a night terror. I will most likely pop by every few days and check up on how you're doing. If these hallucinations continue, consider going down to the beach with your Aunt Marge on her morning walks. Clears her mind just fine.
Sea air and long walks.
Indeed.
So you're prescribing me exercise.
Medicine.
Medicine isn't exercise.
And how long have you been a doctor? Good girl. And Eliza, a small better suits you. Let me see it again in the coming days. Goodbye. Marge!
Eliza! Eliza!
Hello.
Taking Nathaniel's advice, I see?
Is that such a bad thing?
Well, it depends. How have you been sleeping these past few nights?
It keeps happening.
Keeps? As in more than once?
Every night.
Nathaniel told you to let us know if these dreams continued.
Nathaniel also told me to take long
Or
walks.
take longer ones, then. I don't know.
Cousin, can I speak with you for a moment?
I have to go. The boys are waiting for me.
Please. I really have to speak to someone about this.
Go on then.
Right. Okay. I'm always in bed. Not the one at home, which is weird because usually I dream about what's familiar and my mind can picture it so clearly. It tells me things such as, that is your house, that is your mother, this is your best friend, and at the time I believed them, none of those things were real. But when I wake up, it wasn't real. It was a stranger in my house. It was a completely different stranger making me breakfast. If anything, I can see things clearer now than I did before. For instance, I pay attention to things now that I didn't notice in reality, like there's a crack on the far left-hand side of the ceiling as you walk in. These dreams are different. They're so spot on. It's like I'm being tricked into thinking I'm awake. Despite this control of my other senses, I can't actually move. It feels like there's a nail on my chest, which holds me down. So I lie on my back. Then I hear a voice. And that's when the tightness on my body eases. That's what's making me get up and go towards the window. I never want to. I scream and scream in my head to stay still. That's when it comes up again.
So what comes up?
The part of me that's wrong. The bundled wire. Ever since that first night, what it gave me, that festering part, it crawls up through me. I think it wants to see too. To glimpse to see what I see, so I keep my eyes closed. And then it's behind my eyes, controlling what I see.
What is it that you're seeing?
Eyes, all blended together in the water.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
You see, cousin, there's so many of them. Too many of them for us to even count. But despite the large number of them, we know that only one of them is actually staring back at us.
Who's us?
Us who?
Just now, you've been saying us.
I did?
Look, I've got to go, or I'm going to miss the boat.
Wait, please, wait. I have one more question.
Fine. One more question, and then I'm off.
I promise.
What is it then?
What happened to my mum when she was in Redwater? Why she doesn't come down here anymore? Something about the red water.
And she fell in.
Fell in what?
As far as my mum tells it, she was walking along the rocks. She was holding this stone up to her eye and squinting the other one shut. She slipped and fell into a red patch in the water. They say she didn't scream. Apparently she was silent as anything, still clutching that stone in her hand, holding it up to her eye. Or so Mum says. By the time they pulled her out, it said that she looked like a horror story, just covered in the stuff. Mum was haunted by the image, not to mention the rashes.
Rashes?
Yeah. Trust us when we tell you this is not a coast you want to go paddling in, let alone submerged head under. It gives you these nasty hives. We had to have Nathaniel over almost daily, treating her with these balms and salves. At least I think. There was only 5 at the time. I also wasn't able to go to see her. She stayed locked up in her room for a good month. I could hear everything though. I mean, how could I not with all
The what?
night terrors? After that, the sheets were burnt. She left Redwater and never came back. Never came to see Mum. I get it though. That stuff is no joke. I doubt I'd have a life out on the sea if that were my first experience with the ocean. Plus, it said her imagination was wild. You've got that in common? Clearly. I'm sure your dreams are completely unrelated to hers. Well, maybe not completely unrelated, but you have had your fair share of troubles, leaving home and all of that. How are you holding up?
I'm fine.
Any news from back home? Letters from your mum?
No.
What about your dad? I heard that he's...
I think I'd like to go home
Yes,
now.
of course, I'm sorry. Eliza! haven't even said anything.
See.
Well, I just don't know why I'm still here. I brought her, now you deal with her. I was about to cast off.
The sea isn't going anywhere.
Mother, that is the very definition of high and low tide.
Maybe that butty the other day didn't agree with her.
That what?
Oh, never mind.
Do you know, at this point we should set Nathaniel up on the sofa. I mean, he's here often enough.
Oh, don't even joke. That's all I need. Someone looming over me, scrutinising everything I do.
Do you know, he's a know-it-all, and he should keep his nose out of our business.
Oh, come now. Know it all, yes, but he's an old friend.
Eliza seemed upset when she left that first meeting.
Well, the truth can be upsetting.
And the truth is,
She's just nervous.
these dreams aren't normal.
She's a victim of war, Lawrence. War kills people. It ruins families. It could very well ruin hers, and she won't know about it until it's delivered in some cold and heartless letter void of any feeling or condolence. That's bound to give anyone nightmares.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This chew-out is adjourned.
Good afternoon to you too.
Worried or not, you can't just go barging into a lady's room. And besides, she's still in the loo, gushing her guts.
You okay, that much? I guess I'm just worried.
But she's only throwing up.
It's a nasty symptom. All manner of things could be wrong with her.
Indeed, and I'm sure to get to the bottom of what that could be. Lawrence, you were with her, right?
She was just walking along the beach, following her doctor's orders, which didn't seem to be working, by the way. So I thought I could clear her head by letting her talk about her dreams.
She's still having them?
Every night, apparently.
Reliving the horrors. A classic cure. Timeless in its efficiency.
All right, don't start on me. We were talking about her mum.
Well, I suppose that subject must still be rather touchy, or that reminiscent. Might have activated all the repressed stress in one go, resulting in a quick rising of bile.
Okay, but we weren't just reminiscing. I was telling her why Aunt May doesn't come back to Redwater
You did
anymore.
what?
May? I don't remember.
It's when she fell in. The red patch in the water. She had to be locked in her room for a month, being treated by you.
The red algae.
Yes. How can you not remember?
It was a while ago.
Lawrence, I specifically told you not to tell her, especially now with her dreams being about that damn water, not to mention she's staying in the same room.
But she asked a question and I answered it. Blood is blood. Can we not be open with each other?
Well, not about this.
Quiet to the both of you. She must have put herself in her mum's shoes at that exact moment. Being so close to the same water, her mum had a traumatic experience. Probably the closest she's felt to her in days. And if I remember correctly, her mum was a bit all over the place.
She had her beliefs, if that's what you mean.
Right. I'm gonna go make some tea.
Belief can easily make one believe they're ill, you know.
I suppose that makes sense.
Would you say she's like a mother?
No, I would say she's more grounded. When I gave her that stone May used to have, she was indifferent to it at best.
You gave her that pagan nonsense? No wonder she got overwhelmed. First the stone, then the accident talk. Grounded or not, girls are very impressionable.
Well, I just figured it was the right thing to do, that it would give her some comfort having something of her man's.
You had a good intention, man. Don't worry too much about it. It should pass.
I'm not so sure, Nathaniel, the symptoms. They all seem very familiar, and I don't even want to think how that could be possible when she hasn't even...
Don't be ridiculous. She hasn't had a chance. And do not speak of it again.
Oh my good God, dear. It looks like you've got half a foot in the ground.
It didn't come up.
What? Your guts? I beg to differ, they didn't come up.
Oh, I said it didn't come up!
Oh, hush now, there's no use hissing and snarling at us. We're only trying to help. And right now you need to rest.
I couldn't agree more. Let's take her to bed.
Right, easy on.
Thank you, Marge. Can you leave us alone for a minute?
Well, I don't think now's the time for...
Just so I can check up on her, like you wanted?
Right. Of
Thank you.
course.
Well, you certainly don't look well, I'll give you that. Don't worry. I'm not about to prescribe you sea air and long walks.
Before we start, can I ask you something?
Of course.
The red algae?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
It's not my area of expertise. All I know is it grows year-round and en masse.
But you've seen what it does to people when they fall in.
I have, yes.
What happens?
Look, I really don't think this conversation is good for your health.
Please. Doctor.
It varies. Some break out in hives, others have a more serious reaction, such as pustules or burns. The closest thing I can compare it to is a chemical reaction of varying potency.
So, like these.
Enough. Eliza, you haven't touched the water, let alone fallen in.
Only I have, haven't I?
When?
That first night of the Blitz Watch, I swam out into the ocean. And every night since then, in my goddamn dreams.
You'll be having it on your fingers, on your hands, but not everywhere. And as stated, I refuse to accept your hallucinations as evidence. These rashes are unrelated. You're just overwhelmed. Now, can you get to the bottom of the matter? You're vomiting?
All right.
Okay. Again. Ooh.
What?
You're burning up. Comfortable?
No?
All right. Any feeling sluggish these past few days? Naturally. And have you bled since I last asked you?
I'm with child, aren't I?
Why would you say that?
Just starting to make sense is all.
What is?
It's the wire, mangling my insides. That suffocating feeling as it slithers to my head when I dream of it. It's not nerves. That's what's changed. That's what's different about me. What it gave me that night. I don't want it. You have to get it out of me. Please. You're a doctor. You have the power to make things better, right?
It's too early to tell.
Oh, okay, so you don't deny it then. Which means something did happen to me, something did take me away that night. Answer me this then. Are my dreams related? Because it's relentless. They don't stop. If anything, the nightmare becomes a blur between reality and a nightmare. Just now, I passed out. Summer from the vomit changing from the colour yellow to the colour green. Not that it mattered. My dream put me right back where I've been. Kneeling by the toilet. So lifelike. It was like I'd been completely tricked into thinking that I was awake. There was one difference, however. The wire. It resisted me. Before, it was unmoving. Something which wouldn't leave me, no matter how hard I tried. Suddenly, there was hope. I wasn't sure why at first, but with every spill of my insides, it tried to tug me away from the toilet. It wanted me away from there. It wanted me to stop vomiting. In my grips of pain, only one thing became clear. What's good for it is bad for me. So I willed myself to stay. I pushed my whole body against the toilet, legs wrapped around the basin, burying my head into the yellowed water. I breathed in the rank scent deeply, willing more of myself to empty into the water. And as I did, it began rising upwards, detaching from my skeleton. This is it, I thought. I will finally be free. Then it began to burn, likely a final attempt to get me to swallow it back down. I would not be beat. Then the final stretch began. The skin around my neck began to swell and bloat. I can hardly describe the feeling. The sound alone, like grating wire. I was so overwhelmed, I had to close my eyes. And then the fire went out. The ringing stopped. The promises of relief were silent. So I opened my eyes. I wanted to see it dead in the water, defeated. I wanted to reach into the basin, grab its body, parade it around the house, smear its bloody corpse in everyone's face. Look! Look! I say, I've won! No thanks to you. But what I saw wasn't a thing, just shades of red, white, and black all churned together, sitting atop one another, like oil. It's dead, I thought. It's finally dead. Then a bubble rose to the surface. More violent bubbles come to a boil. Just stop, I cried, wanting this internal war to be over. And then the foaming stopped, and the bubbles sat atop the red. They did not pop, shrink, or even stir on the water's surface. They began to reveal themselves for what they are. Eyes. At first a few, and then many more. It was pointless though. It lives, was all I could cry. As it leapt out the basin and found rest inside me once more. When I woke up, by the toilet, there was no Redwater or impossible eyes. So, answer me this then, Doctor. Is it just nerves? Or am I with child?
It's too early to tell.
If you people wait any longer, I will lose my life!
Enough! Enough of this moping and lamenting. All this cry for help from a situation, as far as I can tell, you put yourself in. You speak dangerously, Eliza. You'll be shipped off, isolated, and locked up for the rest of your life if I was anybody else. All the evidence in front of me. Is that what you continue to try and cover your up with some that you've fantasy to save yourself from the shame?
No help from you then. Of course.
You want help? Fine. Some advice. If word gets out that you're a child so young and out of wedlock, these people will eat you alive, ostracize you from society, not to mention what life will be like for you back in London. Infinitely worse, I imagine. Your own mother wouldn't even look you in the eye.
No, I'll just explain it to her.
She'll think you're mad if you regale her with the tale you just told me.
Then you have to do something. Please, I know it can be done.
I will not bloody my hands with the killing of an unborn babe conceived by your ignorance and lust.
But you're a doctor. You're meant to do things to help people, right?
You need not keep the child once it's born. If your mind is still made up by the time of his birth, I'm sure you could look into foster care. Maybe Marge might take the babe off your hands. But right now, you need to prevent social damage. That is damage I can't fix. So I'll leave that to you. Goodbye, Eliza.
Well,
Call me if there are any other issues. Hopefully I shouldn't hear anything for the next 9 months.
I've spoken to Lawrence. He's agreed to marry you.